Hey, okay, we should be live. Chat, let us know if there's any issues because we had some problems getting this going. Had to switch over to my computer. So now I am running this live with a version of Death Metal Cast that is old and might not be connected properly in all sorts of ways. I don't know. So we'll see how this goes. But hey, welcome to Death Battle Cast. We're here to argue about characters who, when they were written originally, probably nobody even thought this would ever happen because electricity hadn't been invented yet. Technically it had, but you know.
Yeah. Nah, dude, somebody probably had to be like, who do you think would win between like different mythology characters back then, right? Yeah, they
Homer
definitely
absolutely had a fan fiction where Beowulf fought Achilles.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody ever asked the Oracle of Delphi who would win in a death battle? And then she huffed her fucking Oracle of Delphi fumes, and then Superman. If Goku fights Superman, a great warrior will be destroyed.
Hey, welcome to Death Battle Cast. I'm Ben, joined by Chad and Liam, and today we are arguing who would win in a fight between Beowulf and Achilles, the heroes of ancient. Well, one of them's pretty ancient. I guess both of them are pretty ancient.
Yeah.
But
antiquity.
Yeah. More ancient than the majority of characters we talk about, right? And if this is your first time joining Death Battle Cast, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's our goal to argue who would win. I'm going to be representing Beowulf. Liam is going to be repping Achilles. And then at the end of the show, we will vote on who should win. And by we, I mean you all watching this live right now. We do Death Battle Cast live every Tuesday at noon Central. And I'm excited to get into this because like this is a very unique episode. See, only 3 cast members. Yeah, so Sam's supposed to be joining us. But he's the one who unfortunately has some like serious computer issues happening. He also typically runs the stream. Thank you, Sam. Yep. But things are not really working out on his end at the moment. So that's also why we had to like finagle a solution and get everything over to my computer. So it's been a chaotic past like 20 minutes trying to figure things out.
Sure has.
Which means we don't have as much time to get into this, so we will just go straight for it. But I know we have some super chats coming in, and we will get to those in a bit. So let's just do this. All right.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Liam, you want to start us off with Achilles? Who is Achilles? What's his whole deal?
Achilles is a demigod. He is the greatest warrior in Greek history. He is the main Greek warrior fighting on the side of the Achaeans, which are the Greeks, in the Trojan War against Troy. Or Ilion, which is where we get the Iliad. So Achilles was is a demigod, the son of Peleus, who I believe was a member of the Argonauts, and he was a great warrior, and Thetis, who is the daughter of a river god. She is a goddess, I believe, she is a goddess herself. He was given the prophecy that he would die in this Trojan War when he was a baby. So, and this is specifically only in later sources, Thetis, to avoid his fate, tries to make him invincible. There's a couple of different ways in which he does that, which we'll get into, but essentially he grows up, he is raised to be a great warrior, he's trained by the centaur Chiron, and he fights in the Trojan War, and spends most of the Iliad crying and pissing his pants in his tent like a big fucking dumb baby, because Agamemnon took one of the slaves that he wanted to have for himself, and he was like, "You can't take my slave." So he just sat and didn't do anything, and then his boyfriend Patroclus is owned by Hector, and then Achilles gets pissed and realizes, my hubris, this is my fault. So then he goes and fights Hector. And that's actually the end of it in the Iliad. He does not die in the Iliad. Mm-hmm. That's a later attestation. But then he's killed because he is struck in the heel. his Achilles heel. So we'll talk about some of the differences in like Achilles, like in different myths and different stories, because like with Greek mythology, it's not one single story; it's a collection of stories over time. There is some stuff that's only in Roman sources that is like considered central to Achilles. But yeah, he is the greatest of the Greek warriors. That's who he is.
Yeah, the Iliad and the Odyssey are just two of Homer's. What was it called? His like series of epic poems or whatever. Is it just the epic? I thought that
The
I know
epic
there's
cycle,
a name.
I think.
Yeah, but most
Something
of
like
it is like lost, right? We don't have most of it. So Iliad and the Odyssey are like the two biggest ones. But
these were during the Greek Dark Age, when like the Greeks in the Iliad were not the ancient Greeks that we know. They were the civilization before the ancient Greeks, known as the Mycenaeans, and who we know as the Greeks were the ones that were telling stories about this pre-civilization, and they recognized them as a pre-civilization. There was a big Dark Age that happened because of the Bronze Age collapse. Civilization was very quiet for a while, and then it came back with the ancient Greeks, which I always found very interesting.
I see Lily Mandragon in chat saying, Hector is a real wuss. No. Don't talk shit about my boy Hector. Hector's my favorite character in the Iliad.
Hector's great.
Hector's great. Fucking awesome.
What else are you supposed to do? He was running away from Achilles because it's fucking Achilles. What are you supposed to do? And the only reason he stops is because Athena comes down, because Athena is so biased for Achilles and for Odysseus in the Odyssey. She is such a glazer that she comes down and then takes a form and then convinces Hector to stop and fight, like,
of his brother. Man. She pretends to be his brother and is hey buddy, you should go fight him.
And he's like, okay.
He's like, I guess so. The rest of his family is like, no, please.
No.
Like, his children are like, please don't fight this demigod. That's a terrible idea.
You're gonna get owned, and then he did.
We'll get into what happens with Hector, because I have some beef. I have some tea to spill on Achilles on how much of a fucking dick he is. But first, I want to talk about my boy Beowulf, and yes, I brought out the tome.
You got props. You got the tome.
This is a Kickstarter that I backed a little while ago. That did that like reprinted Beowulf basically as this like completely unreadable font, but the book is very pretty, and I thought it was really neat. Beowulf. Let's talk about Beowulf. So Beowulf is like basically the oldest English story we have recorded, essentially, even though the English of Beowulf is not anything like English you would think of today. And basically, the idea behind Beowulf is he's just kind of a real chill dude. I didn't remember this until I was like looking back on this book for this argument, but like Beowulf is a pretty decently long poem. It's not nearly as long as the Iliad, but you know, it's pretty decently long. 9/10 of the story is about how he's just partying with his bros.
Partying in the hall.
Yeah.
He's just hanging out with people,
just
having a good time.
Then finally they're like, you gotta go fucking, somebody's gotta kill.
And then every so often a monster shows up and he's like, I'll take care of it.
God damn it. Fucking Brindle again? God, this is like ripping us apart. Jesus Christ.
Because like, so the story of Beowulf, Beowulf's gonna be a little interesting, weird to go through, because Beowulf doesn't have a whole lot of lore, multiple stories or anything like that. There's really just the one story. It's been translated like thousands of different times by different people. Even Tolkien at one point translated Beowulf. And the story kind of just like goes through his life and like key moments of his life. So really the only way to talk about Beowulf is to kind of like go through like each like story in the big feat that he performs in each story. Because despite this being some ancient text and old school like story and whatnot, it's really kind of written like kind of like comic books,
like a comic book. Yeah.
Where it's just like Beowulf shows up. He's like the best guy ever. Everybody's got a problem, and he just goes and deals with it. No matter what the problem is, he's like, all right, I'll go deal with it. And then he goes and deals with it. And then that's it. That's the end of the story. And then we move on to the next story. It's like an episodic adventure. But to set up the idea of Beowulf, and so if you are not familiar with the story of Beowulf, here's like the starting premise. So there was this king in Denmark, king of the Danes, King Hrothgar, and Hrothgar had a problem. He loved to party. The dude was just so big on partying and drinking mead that he decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to build this party hall. Like, I'm just going to build this hall, and the only thing we're going to do in it is party. We're going to have such a fun time. He built the first club, basically. And so he built this club. Every night they were just getting hammered in this hall, having a great time. He put his throne in the hall. Like he was just having a great time. But unfortunately, it just so happens that he built this party house right above a cave where a monster lived who just did not like parties. He did not like noise. He did not like parties.
No fun.
Did not like fun. Literally, there's a passage where he talks about how this monster is like the antithesis to joy. He does not like joy.
I will say though, when you explain it like this is the first time I've ever sympathized with Grendel.
Well,
now I'm sitting there be like, what if someone built a fucking club above my house?
Yeah.
Like,
the problem is Grendel, instead of going up to the Danes and being like, hey guys, maybe could you build your house somewhere else? He just starts killing them all. He storms into the hall, literally tearing down walls and doors, and just starts killing them all. And none of Hrothgar's people can deal with Grendel. He's immune to all damage, essentially.
It's interesting how hospitality is a really big theme in a lot of old myths, and especially Beowulf and the Odyssey, with the cave and Polyphemus with the those are stories about hospitality. I find that very interesting. Please go on, but I just thought of that.
Because the hospitality becomes like Beowulf comes over because he's Beowulf is from Sweden, essentially, the Geatland. And he's like, you know what? I've heard this guy loves to party. I like to party, and he's got a problem. I'm gonna go hang out with my buddy Hrothgar. We're gonna party, and then I'm gonna take care of Grendel for him. And so he goes over to this hall, Heorot, and is like, hey buddy, I'm gonna take care of Grendel for you. And he's like, all right, let's do this. Not without some
because they keep
debates,
partying, right? Grendel shows up, kills a bunch of people,
first
and then,
thing they do when Beowulf shows up is they're like, hey, you want to do this? Let's do this. Okay, but first, party time, right?
What could go wrong?
Beowulf gets fucking hammered.
and then Grendel's like, these motherfuckers.
He's just having such a good time. He's just hanging out with his bros, man. And so Grendel's in his cave. He's like, God damn it. They're still making so much noise. And so that leads to the famous fight with Grendel. And so there's a lot of other stuff going on in Beowulf, but that's the basic setup of Beowulf. Is he kind of just is this he's a prince of Geatland, and he's this noble warrior, or at least people talk about him as a noble warrior, but when he shows up, he's just kind of a frat guy who's just really chill, and everybody loves him, and he's like, yeah, I can handle this, and then he just handles things for him. So, and then they party. Oh, after he kills Grendel, I forgot about this. The next 6 chapters of the book, of the story, or I guess the next 6 books of the poem, are just dedicated to Beowulf and Hrothgar and everybody at Heorot just partying and celebrating, and then somebody will come up to Beowulf and be like, yo, you're so fucking awesome. Here's half my land. You want it? Yo, you're so fucking awesome. I got a bunch of sheep. You want it? Here's some gold. That's 6 chapters of it afterwards. They're just hanging out and partying, and Beowulf's just chill, and he's cool with everybody, and everybody loves him. To the point where when he eventually does leave Denmark to go back to Geatland, everybody's crying and sobbing, and they're just so distraught that this really cool guy is leaving. That's Beowulf in a nutshell. I'll go over more of the feats and stuff, but that's the basic concept.
He's too likable. Achilles,
he's just incredibly likable. Everybody likes him.
And Achilles is a prick.
Meanwhile, Achilles is just fucking a douchebag.
Awful.
There's a character in Beowulf when he first arrives at Heorot. There was one character who you're immediately supposed to dislike because he's immediately like, Beowulf's not going to be able to take care of this. He's all for show. All right, and this is Unferth. He is King Hrothgar's like attendant, basically. And as soon as Beowulf shows up and is like, I can deal with this problem for you, Unferth is like, psh, I've heard of you. You lost a race to this guy named Brecca. You're not nearly as cool as you were. And Beowulf, because he's just a chill, cool dude, this guy's like basically talking shit to him and telling him he's nowhere near as cool as he's presenting himself. And Beowulf's response is, yeah, you're absolutely right, buddy. I did lose that race. But, and then he goes into the whole details of what the race was. And this is a great way to kind of set up how strong and like superhuman Beowulf actually is. This is why this happened so early in the story. So he goes over this idea or this race that occurred with Brecca. And Brecca is another like superhuman person in this world, right? So the race is... in most translations, it is described as a swimming race where they have to swim across the ocean. The specific ocean is never named, but I do have theories on what it is. So they are supposed to swim across the ocean, and specifically, it is a race across the ocean that is going to take 7 days. So they're going to swim for 7 days. Already crazy. But just to add on top of that, Beowulf and Brecca are swimming in full chainmail with swords. And the reason why is because this is not any ordinary ocean. There's some shit in it. So on the 5th night, up to the 5th night, they're swimming like neck and neck, right? They're side by side the whole time. And then a storm comes in and separates them. And then later on, Brecca comes up to shore on his own. It's like, Beowulf is gone. What happened to Beowulf? Cut back to Beowulf. What happened after the storm? He got attacked by sea monsters and sea dragons. And he spent the entire day killing sea dragons underwater and then showed up to shore right after Brecca. And so Beowulf is like, yeah, I did lose the race technically. But also I killed a bunch of fucking monsters on the way and Brecca didn't have to deal with any of that shit. So theories, the main theory of what the ocean is the North Sea, which is 360 miles wide. So regardless, he was swimming across an ocean for a week and fought and killed at least 9 monsters through that whole race. So this is how Beowulf is like introduced in the story before we even get to Grendel and everything else. So compared to that, Achilles has got nothing, right? Like Achilles can't do anything like that, right?
Oh, yes, he can. Okay, so let's talk about Achilles' origin. Worth noting, the whole thing with his invulnerability is actually not in the Iliad. In the Iliad, he actually gets injured by something. He gets like stabbed on the shoulder or the hand or something, and there's blood. However, in later sources, he is given his famous invulnerability, the thing that he's like known for now. And I think that that's fine to include because myths are just collections of stories.
Right.
The first attestation of it is in this Roman text called the Achilliad, which was unfinished.
Achilles sounds like an Iliad fan fiction.
Yeah, I mean that's but the way that it's referenced, I believe, was in a way that suggested that there are earlier versions of this story that were before the first century. Anyways, so he is invulnerable, either by his mother dipping him in the river Styx. She doesn't dip in her own hand, so she's holding him by the foot. So his heel is the only thing that is untouched. There's also another version of it where she like essentially baked him in the hearth fires of Olympus with like ambrosia, and did it over several nights to like kind of like reinforce his skin to make him invulnerable. Either way, his skin is invulnerable. He was raised by the centaur Chiron, not raised, but trained by the centaur Chiron to be a great warrior, like before he was even a teenager. Chiron, by the way, is the inspiration for Philoctetes, Phil from the Hercules movie. They change him to a satyr and they name him Philoctetes because Heracles has a friend named Philoctetes who's like an archer. But the inspiration is Chiron, the centaur. He has a spear, a magical spear forged by, I believe, Hephaestus, that is so heavy it takes like like a person's entire strength to like lift it up. And interestingly, not super useful for a fight, but it can heal wounds that it deals out. So it can stab you, but then he can choose to like, as he's pulling it out, like heal you. I don't really
Imagine
get
that
it.
though, like, hold on, no, really, trust me though, and it's like, no, like, what?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Come on,
Well,
Patrick, let's come on.
it just means that he can torture people for as long as he wants. That's what it sounds like. It's a torture device.
I
Yeah.
see the play that you're going for here, Ben.
He also has an armor and a shield that is forged by Hephaestus that is totally impenetrable. Some of it is made after Patroclus is killed. They like give it to him and they're like, here, take your shit. So even by like his youth, he is trained in every single weapon known to the Greeks. He's a master of all of them. He rides a chariot. He is essentially the greatest warrior of the Greeks. He's the strongest, the fastest, because he's a demigod and because he's part of a generation of demigods. He is the strongest and fastest Greek, really person in the entire conflict of the Trojan War, save for, of course, the gods themselves, who intervene on his behalf and also against him. He has some feats of fighting actual, like, or resisting actual deities in the Trojan War. Famously, there was one time when he was killing so many Trojans that it clogged up the river, the Scamander. It completely clogged up the river with all of the bodies that he had killed, and it pissed off the river god so much that because he clogged up the river, that he like sent his entire like godly force at Achilles, like throwing the entire river at him, throwing rocks and shit. And Achilles was able to resist it for an extended period of time. He is strong enough that he can deflect boulders with his shield. He can dash heads to dust. Apollo was concerned that if he was not stopped, he could knock down the walls of Troy themselves, walls that had held off the Greek army for 10 years, remember. He can jump at the speed of a flying eagle. He can accidentally, there's one part where he grabs a branch of a tree and accidentally like pulls it over and like completely like knocks it over. He threw a discus so high into the sky that it disappeared from sight. They just didn't see where it went. The son of a river god, this is Asclepius, could not dislodge. That's funny. Could not dislodge his spear from the ground, and he could shake towers. Like his spear was strong enough that when it struck towers, it would shake the walls and cause them to tumble. Aeneas. So okay, Aeneas is like the kind of the foundational figure of Roman history. Like the Romulus and Remus are supposedly descended from Aeneas. They're the founders of Rome. And he was fighting Achilles, except he was divinely empowered by Apollo. Like Apollo was like, boom, I'm going to give you super fucking mega strength to fight Achilles. And Aeneas still got his ass kicked. He was able to fight Hector. He was able to hit the weak point in Hector's armor before Hector could react. He can run as fast as a racehorse. This was as fast as a racehorse, dogs, and centaurs. This is before the age of 13. This was when he's 12. This was crazy. He can run up a mountain as though it was level ground. So you can just like go completely horizontal and go up a mountain. Yeah, Achilles is crazy, crazy strong. And there are potential arguments to argue him even further. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But essentially, he is a one-man army. He was able to like take over towns, fighting. Nothing can stop him. The gods would need to intervene in order to like stop Achilles at certain points in the Trojan War. And we can get more into the gods.
Plus his sword fighting's like super cool, right? You saw Troy.
Yes,
little
in
jump
Troy,
strikes,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He does the jump strike.
Yeah. Actually, when we were talking about sword fights the other day, when I googled like what are the best sword fights in movies, that fight scene is up there because of
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure if I look in this book over here, he's using a spear, not a sword. So
yeah,
that's true.
He does have a sword. He does also have a sword, but yeah, his primarily uses a spear.
Yeah,
he's
well,
Greek.
Yeah, because he's Greek, and also spears are more effective than swords, to be frank. In a fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I need to hit some super
more.
chats.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I
y'all
saw
are-
some people talking about stuff, so I want to like. I'm excited to get more into Beowulf, but like, yeah, let's hit some super chats.
Yeah. First of all, before we were even live, 10 Tails with $100 super chat. Just saying, do both of them mistake the other for being a monster they must defeat, or do they both want to best each other to see who's the better of the two? I think it's probably that one. I think it's probably the like.
Probably.
Yeah,
Beowulf would absolutely be on board for that. I don't know if Achilles would. Achilles might be too emo.
They're
to
both
like,
getting
do that.
I feel like they're both getting glazed up by like people, and then they get put into that scenario where they're like, "Well, I guess we got to figure it out."
Kind of the recurring bit of Iliad with like Achilles and Hector is it's all building up to a face off between the two of them, and they almost fight at one point, and then like they separate. They kind of fight at one point, and they separate. The whole thing is like people are like talking about who would win in a fight between Achilles and Hector. Iliad is basically one big death battle between Achilles and Hector. With a lot of other stuff happening in between that's really boring.
Yeah. There's a reason that Christopher Nolan is making the Odyssey and not the Iliad.
Yes. Yeah. The Odyssey is way better than the Iliad.
Way better.
Yep. Raptor says, I'm surprised y'all haven't done a Genshin cast yet. Also looking forward to this cast. Have we not done a Genshin cast? Well, yeah, I guess.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think we have.
Anyway, maybe someday. Tucker says, I had a dream that Zeus and Odin was the next time after Aang Traveler, and I hope that dream becomes a prophecy. Well, you'll find out in a couple weeks.
Who knows?
We do.
We do. Yeah, I know the answer to that. I love saying that. I love saying who knows, and
the answer is maybe.
Yeah,
sorry,
maybe.
Oh, Lily super chat. Fun fact: as a baby, I cut my heel open, so now the back of my foot is tough, making me reverse Achilles.
Hey.
He's completely vulnerable in all of his body except for his heel. Like
the invincible heel.
Dude, you got to get really good at axe kicks. If you get you're just gonna like be crushing people. This is like a super hand scenario. I could go off where you can't do it. Night Ghost gifted out a membership. Family Leader gifted out 5. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. If you got a membership, check out our membership content and live streams like Ballot Banter tomorrow. Overlord says, love that mythologies come back to Death Battle, even just as a cast. If possible, can you lads do a Zeus versus Odin cast? Or hopefully even an official episode. Everybody's on that Zeus Odin thing right now.
Oh, we haven't done a Zeus Odin cast, have we? Have we?
No, we haven't.
We haven't. No.
I mean, we've talked about potentially doing it, but like that's like the next big mythology thing that people have requested. Yeah. So, but instead we're here talking about Achilles and Beowulf. So,
yeah. Cody says classic Greek death battle was a theater show, and I've seen a good handful of comments that were like, "Hey, if we were to do this," including Levi popped in. Which Levi, why are you giving us money?
Do the fight as like a theater performance?
It's like a Greek theater.
Narrated
by the chorus.
If we were to do something like this, would we be open to doing it? And I saw, I think it was Tucker was like, you could do this as a live action Sword and Sandals movie. But then also I saw people were talking about like you could sell tickets, like if we do it like we would actually put on like the way that we did the premiere, but like we did an actual theater play, and a lot of people were also playing to Liam's stage actor to make this happen.
I'll play Achilles.
And that's an incredible idea. I love that so much.
Here's the downside of doing it as a Greek theater play is that if you've ever seen Greek theater, all of the action and the killing takes place off stage. What happens is that characters come on and go, "Did you see what the fuck just happened? Dude, he got fucking killed. Oh my God, it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen."
Sounds great to me. That makes it so much easier for us.
Yeah, right?
So maybe less interesting for our audience than they think.
Nikki just gifted
Nikki
out
says
50
my finger
memberships?
slipped. Oops, and gifted out 50 memberships. So if anybody got a membership from Nikki, say a big thanks.
Wow.
Yep. Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki.
Finger slip. Oops.
You're too kind.
Nikki's my girlfriend. She's being nice. She's out there right now.
Thank you, Nikki.
She's too nice.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Red flag. Too nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to some of these grand feats that these characters have performed. Because again, Beowulf's story is basically just about him partying, and then he does some crazy feat. So the first one is Grendel. That I haven't even really talked about this one yet, and I do need to talk about it. That's the one that people know, right? Grendel is the monster that's attacking Hrothgar and his people. So Beowulf is like, all right, I'm going to go take care of Grendel for you. And while they're talking, he's like, I'm so good at this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fight Grendel barehanded. Not even going to use my weapons. So he like parties with everybody, gets fucking hammered, and then goes to sleep. Except he doesn't. He's the only person in the hall who doesn't go to sleep. He stays awake the whole time, and he waits for Grendel to show up. And then when Grendel shows up, like he's sleeping, literally it says he's sleeping on his arms. He's sleeping on his weapons, just in case he's gonna like use them.
Right.
But then when Grendel comes up to him, he's like, no. I boasted that I would fight him with my bare hands, so I'm just gonna use my bare hands. And so he wrestles with this guy. Grendel, for the record, there are a number of different things that Grendel does. Grendel is strong enough to tear down the entire building, right? Whenever he enters a room or the building itself, he's breaking down doors and walls. When he comes to a man, it describes him tearing apart the man and eating him in seconds. It's just like, oh, here's a guy.
Yeah, he's like ripping the dude apart. I remember that because it
tears him apart and eats him, and it all happens in a matter of seconds. So it's just like, holy shit. His roar alone shakes the entire building. Everybody is aware that he's in the building when Beowulf is fighting him because he roars so loud that the walls, the stone walls, are shaking. And then as Beowulf and Grendel are fighting, their match almost brings down the entire building. The story literally describes how the walls shake and the roof begins to crack and crumble around them. It is very much described like a fucking Dragon Ball Z fight. Just like every time they hit each other, there's like something shaking over there. Boom! Like the like benches or whatever shatter next to them. Like there's just shit exploding everywhere as they're fighting. The only reason why Grendel hasn't torn down the entire building before now is because the building is protected by God. And this is interesting because Achilles has gods in his corner. Something that comes up throughout Beowulf is that God is totally a cheerleader for Beowulf. This is the Christian God. God is just like, fuck yeah, Beowulf, kick his ass.
Are we including their divine intervention?
We might have to because there's a few things that God does in the story.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Falco says so. Grendel is old mythology Kool-Aid man.
Kinda, yeah. So God doesn't interfere with this fight at all. He's just been interfering against Grendel because he's trying to keep Grendel from God. Capital G God is trying to keep Grendel from like interrupting the party. So that's why the building hasn't come down yet. So eventually Beowulf does win by ripping off Grendel's arm. Now keep in mind, up to this point, no weapon has ever pierced Grendel's skin. None of Hrothgar's warriors have been able to like deal any damage to Grendel. Beowulf just rips his fucking arm off, and this kills Grendel. Grendel bleeds out because of it. And then, of course, everybody parties, and he has a great time. So he beats Grendel by literally ripping him apart, just like Grendel's been ripping other people apart. Mm-hmm. And then we can get to sort of Beowulf's like arsenal, right? You talked about how Achilles is trained in all sorts of weapons. So Beowulf is gifted a weapon from Unferth, the guy who was like kind of talking shit about him earlier. Unferth, after he beats Grendel, Unferth is like, oh my god, you're the most amazing person ever. Here's my family heirloom. It's been passed down my family for generations, this amazing sword. You can have it. Hrothgar adopts him as like his son and is like, you're gonna be our next liege lord. Like everybody's just like giving him stuff. So he gets this sword from Unferth called Hrunting. And we're led to believe that Hrunting has some sort of special power. That's just kind of how it's like presented. It's the special sword. Which he might need because after 6 straight chapters of partying, Grendel's mother shows up. And she starts basically filling in for Grendel and trying to avenge Grendel by killing people. Instead of just killing people and trying to tear down the building, what Grendel's mother does is she takes people from the building and then eats them elsewhere. So she's like kidnapping people. So they're not sure that they're going to be able to like take her on in the building because she's being sneaky and kidnapping people. So Beowulf and Hrothgar are like, all right, we're going to do a hunt. We're going to hunt her down and find where she is. And they basically gather a hunting party and they track her down following the like bloody body and whatnot until they find this shoreline, essentially. And the waters are described as filled with serpents and sea dragons. So this whole hunting party comes up to this shore and they're like, whoa, okay, well, she's apparently somewhere in there. Uh-oh, big monsters show up. So a big sea monster shows up and Beowulf just casually kills it in front of everybody. It's like, whatever, no problem. So they're like, all right, Grendel's mother came here. Clearly her lair is underwater. What do we do? How do we go find her lair? Beowulf just goes underwater.
He just jumps like, yeah, he holds his breath. He's like, I got it.
He specifically gears up in all of his gears. Like, here's my armor, here's my sword, here's my shield, blah, blah, blah. Here's this new sword fronting. Let's go. And he just hops into the water and sinks all the way to the bottom. It takes a full day for Beowulf to sink to the bottom of the ocean. Yes, he's wearing his armor. Yes, he is fighting sea dragons the entire way down. Yes, he is holding his breath.
Yep.
For a full day.
It's absolutely insane. By the way, Johan gifted out 10 memberships as well. But thank you everyone for the support. This is crazy.
Yeah, I love talking about this because like I don't believe the story even mentions how he does this. He just goes underwater and the book treats it like it's totally normal.
Right.
He's also like being attacked by monsters this entire time because the whole sea is filled with sea monsters. And he's just sinking down. He's fine. Whatever. The mother then catches Beowulf, right? Because she's sneaky, right? She finds him, catches him, and pulls him into her lair. And while he's being pulled, it does specifically mention that he's bitten by several monsters, time and time again. Specifically, it quotes, "Flood beasts with no few than biting tusks, and many a mere beast tormented him." But then it never describes like how Beowulf reacts to it. It just kind of moves on. So like, there's no consequences to all these monsters biting him while Grendel's mother's pulling him into the lair. So I can only conclude that Beowulf was just completely unaffected by dozens of bites from sea monsters with tusks. And then he fights Grendel's mother, of course. Now the fight with Grendel's mother is a little bit different because now he hasn't boasted that he's going to fight her with only his bare hands, right? So he's got Hrunting, this like supposedly special sword. He's like, all right, I'm going to use Hrunting. I'm going to cut her head off or something like that. Problem is, she starts beating the shit out of him. It's not really his fault. It's just that Unferth's sword fucking sucks. It has no special power. It does nothing. So he like tries to hit her with the sword. Nothing happens. She's like, fuck. Okay. So to be fair to Achilles, Beowulf is strong as hell, but he might not be the most like clever strategist. He kind of just brute forces his way through fights. So his sword is not working against the mother. So he's like, all right, what am I going to do? And then this is where this divine intervention kind of comes into play. So at a certain point in the fight, because Beowulf's weapon is not working, the mother does get the upper hand, pins him to the ground, and she takes this like weapon that's off the wall. She has a number of like enormous weapons on the wall. And she takes this giant's knife and she stabs Beowulf with it. Now, giants' weapons in Beowulf, giants are like a species in Beowulf's history that like died out or something. Giants' weapons are like so powerful they can cut through anything. She takes this knife, stabs at him with it, and somehow Beowulf's armor stops the knife. He does not wear magic armor. It's just a normal breastplate. Instead, God determines that the knife will slide off the armor and that Beowulf will escape her grasp. This is very important because, as I said, God is explicitly on Beowulf's side because Grendel and his mother continuously try to thwart God's providences. It is very specific about this. There's one point when God basically demands that Grendel never eat a man, like another man. And then like 2 lines later, Grendel's like, nah, bitch, and starts eating people. And it's like, well, God's telling you not to do that. Like, you should probably not do that. It's God. So this is why God is on Beowulf's side.
Clip of the way Ben said "nah, bitch" there. That was the greatest thing ever. I just want to point out. Oh my god,
The god's on Beowulf's side because he's specifically fighting against things that are like anti-god, right? Like anti-god's providences specifically is what it talks about.
Pagan.
So, yeah, exactly. Huh? You see where I'm going with this. But this is why Beowulf somehow miraculously survives a stab from the giant's knife, sees this big ass sword on the wall that's as big as a person. It's described as larger than a man. So it's like the Buster Sword. He grabs it and then one-shots Grendel's mother with it, with this giant sword. The sword is larger than a man, chops off. He then sees Grendel's body there, chops off Grendel's head, and takes it with him along with the sword. So he's got this giant ass sword, Grendel's head, all of his armor, goes out of the cave and has to swim all the way back up carrying these things. And it's later described how it takes 4 of Hrothgar's strongest men to even lift Grendel's head. And he swam up a day's journey like with it. So that's the Grendel storyline in a nutshell. Fucking nuts. And yes, so my argument is if we are going to take divine intervention into account, because there's something you mentioned about how he was Achilles was at the Scamander. You forgot to mention that the only reason why he survives the Scamander and the river god is because Hephaestus shows up and is like, "Yo, don't kill my boy," and interrupts the river god.
Yeah, eventually. I didn't say he
would have died without Hephaestus.
Forever. I said with some time he resisted it for some time.
Divine intervention is a thing for both of them.
It's
and
true.
God would find the pagan Greek gods to be anti-God. So theoretically, he would be like, "All right, Beowulf, you're my boy. You got to kill this Achilles dude. I'm going to help guide your weapons."
So now this is God, like Christian God versus the pantheon.
Yeah, okay, let me jump into this. Because here's the difference. Like Achilles has been helped out by not just one deity, like in the case of Beowulf, but by the likes of Thetis, Hera, Athena, Poseidon, Hephaestus, and Zeus. He has been helped out by essentially half of the Greek pantheon.
Sure.
And Zeus alone is very much comparable to how like the biblical god is described. They're different, obviously portrayed differently in different myths, but there are versions of Zeus that have literally created and can destroy the entire universe. Even Heracles, we talked about, can like lift the universe. So I think the fact that like if we're including divine intervention, Achilles is going to get a lot more, especially if it's God doing it because he wants to fight pagan gods. Then the Greek gods are going to be like, "Okay, this guy wants to come for our asses. Fuck you.
We've done this before." Yeah, like
you're saying the Greek gods would be able to be more powerful? I don't know.
Together,
if we did this fight, like it would be so sick that like we're doing like, you know, the ground fight and like all this is happening, and then at one point we pull back to like the gods chess game that's happening. Or I saw somebody earlier say this is like a Pokemon battle of the gods.
That's the Trojan War.
Like,
that was the Trojan War essentially. It was gods battling each other and using humans as pawns.
The main characters of this story are Achilles and Hector, arguably, or you could say are just the gods. The gods are the main characters, and everything else is their pawns. They're playing a big chess game where everybody's dying.
Right.
And Achilles feels really bad about it. And there's a whole, you know, he's feeling grief stricken and he doesn't want to fight. Boo hoo. No.
It's a big.
Achilles has a very like serious like story about grief and basically the trials of war throughout the Iliad. So he's not like. He's not just sitting around whining because he's like a crybaby or whatever. He's not wrong. He very much realizes that all of this is just a game, and that people are dying because of it.
Yeah, I'm getting more and more sold on this matchup as we go. But I want to point out, Keybert says we're approaching blasphemy here, which was a great setup for me to then read Dude Blade's super chat, which says, "God already loses to Pikachu. What's he gonna do to Hephaestus?"
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing: it's not God coming down and fighting on his behalf, right? We are talking about divine intervention,
guiding.
And somebody in chat mentioned, so why didn't Athena block? I think it was Lily. Why didn't Athena block Paris's arrow? Right? So Achilles dies because Paris shoots him in the heel with a poisoned arrow. That's what ends up killing Achilles. The reason why is because Paris is not the only one who's involved.
Yeah.
Apollo also is involved. Apollo guides the arrow, and this is why supposedly it's able to hit. I believe there are certain translations where like Apollo's not involved.
Aphrodite, I think.
Yeah, Apollo and Aphrodite are kind of like the main gods behind Hector and the Trojans.
Yeah.
But either way, Apollo like fucking hates Achilles. Apollo's constantly trying to like Apollo's responsible for Patroclus's death in a way, like sets it up for Hector and whatnot. So Apollo's like, I want to kill this guy. So he helps Paris kill him. So there is divine intervention involved in Achilles' death. So here's the main difference between, and yes, we are getting close to blasphemy, between Greek gods and the Christian God. The Christian God is omnipotent and omnipresent. He will know that Achilles has a weakness, and he will be able to guide Beowulf toward that weakness. The Greek gods are not. They're just guys who are very, very powerful, but they're not omnipotent. That's kind of the whole story of the Greek gods, right? They're fallible. And God in the Christian God is supposed to be not fallible. So feel like Beowulf's got a pretty big fucking advantage there.
I'll say this. Well, first off, there's a couple of things. I'll start with this. First off, all God does.
Don't say that God's fallible, because then that's blasphemy.
All God does is deflect the fucking knife. Second of all, Zeus is described in certain traditions as omnipresent and omnipotent. If you want to go full scaling on Zeus, Zeus is very much a match to the Christian God in certain like traditions. Second, you said that there aren't gods directly involved in the fight. They just do divine intervention. They don't come down. I didn't know about this until today, but Ben, you are wrong. There's two things I want to talk about.
God is fallible.
Two of the high things.
You mean in the Iliad?
For Achilles, just in general.
Sure,
Achilles, just in general. One of them is scaling.
Okay.
Achilles is described as being very consistently superior to his father, Peleus. And Peleus was able to literally win against, overpower and defeat Thetis, Achilles' mother, in a wrestling competition. A wrestling competition also with Heracles present and competing. Peleus was able to win that wrestling competition. Thetis, capable of flying between Earth and the heavens in a split second. Okay, that's just some random, does Achilles scale to minor Greek deities or demigods? Yes, there is an argument for that. However, if you want to get into divine intervention, which I think is a bit of a stretch of an argument, I think it's fair to say, I can make a bit of a stretch argument too.
Okay.
Because Achilles' story does not end when he dies. Famously in the Odyssey, he is confronted as a spirit in the afterlife. And he talks about how he wishes, he would give up being the greatest warrior in the world if he could just see his father again. He'd be a slave than a warrior, because it was so awful. However, there are some sources that continue to tell Achilles' story after this. This is in the post-Homerica, where Achilles is made a god by Poseidon. A god capable of creating storms that can wreck entire Greek fleets. A god capable of flying from the afterlife, or from Hades underground up to the surface so fast it breaks a giant hole through the earth that causes earthquakes and floods on the surface. So if you want to go like a bit of a stretch argument with divine intervention here, I can say that Achilles at his peak is a fucking god. He is a deity. He would wreck Beowulf's scrawny mortal ass.
What story is this? What's it called?
This is in the post-Homerica. This is by I can look up the name.
Homerica.
Quintus Smyrnaeus.
Yeah.
Smyrnaeus.
So it's not by Homer. So I don't know if you would necessarily call it canon.
No. We started talking about this.
Did you just pull a non-canon
stories.
myth?
No. You went. And you went, yeah, that's fine. We can include like the the Achilles, which is like a Roman source, because it's consistent with, no. We can include, this is mythology.
I also call the Achilles fan fiction. So, this is what we were talking about, is fan fiction.
Special case says I
nice
think divine
try.
intervention should be removed to focus on just the characters. It would be outside help. Plus, God no diffs the Greek gods because he's actually real.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not you want to include a divine intervention, I think is up to each individual person when they're going to be voting. I'm just gonna put out there that like God does get involved in Beowulf's fights, specifically because he has a goal against Grendel and those sorts of things. He does not get involved in Beowulf's last fight, which I've seen some people talking about. Well, hang on, Beowulf does die at the end of his story, right? And he does. So there is a third fight, and we're kind of like short on time here, so I'm going to try to be quick with this. And honestly, there's not really much to say about the final story in the Beowulf saga. It's the dragon, right? The final story is the dragon, but like leading up to it, basically Beowulf does all these great things over in for the Danes in Daneland, and is like, all right, see ya, and comes back to Geatland, where he becomes king and he rules for like 50 plus years. So by the time the dragon shows up, Beowulf is over 70 years old, and he's not a demigod. Keep that in mind. He is technically a normal man, but I don't think it's ever explained why Beowulf is like fucking strong as hell. He just kind of is.
He's just built that way.
He's just built that way. Yeah. So he's over 70 at this point. A dragon is wrecking shit. And he's like, all right, nobody wants to fight this dragon because it's a dragon. Can't blame him. I'll do it. And everybody's like, Beowulf, you're like 70 years old. And Beowulf was like, nah, man. Remember when I was like super cool as a young guy and I could like beat up Grendel and stuff? I could do this. Beowulf's self-confidence is like second to none. So he goes and fights this dragon. It doesn't go super well because once again he's got this like great sword, Nagling. It's his like royal sword, and he hits the dragon with it. And it doesn't do anything because of course it doesn't. None of these fucking swords in Beowulf do anything. So the Beowulf is like biting, or the Beowulf, the dragon's like biting him and like wrapping itself around him and squeezing him and stuff like that. And he's like surviving. Any other person would get killed like immediately by this thing. But like there's no clear winner, and he's kind of getting overwhelmed. And then one of his friends, the only friend who like sticks around because like everybody's terrified of this dragon, is like, Beowulf, remember how you were boasting how awesome you are? You are that awesome. And because this guy is basically just like hyping up Beowulf, Beowulf goes Super Saiyan and fucks up the dragon. His self-confidence is bolstered by his friend talking about how awesome he is. So he's able to kill the dragon by like finding a weakness in his scales and stabbing him, bleeding him out. But unfortunately, before he was able to do that, the dragon has bitten him, and the dragon's bite is poisonous. So Beowulf slowly dies due to poison. Now God does not intervene.
What did God do?
God does not intervene here because
like that's the way Beowulf would have wanted to go out.
No, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So God is often regarded in the story of Beowulf in a number of different ways, and one of them is fate, capital F, fate. And fate is basically God's will in the story, and like fate is described as like anti-Grendel, but then when Beowulf is going to fight the dragon, fate is described as like, well, it is going to be your fate to die against the dragon. And Beowulf knows this. So Beowulf is like generally aware that there's a very strong possibility that he will die here. And like God has kind of decreed that like, yeah, this is kind of where your story will end if you do this. And he's like, yeah, I got this though. And he goes anyway. So the dragon is not like anti-God in some way. So God does not interfere in that regard. And this isn't the same thing as like a Greek god playing with Beowulf as a toy or something like that. So God's just basically not involved outside of decreeing potential fate. So that's why he doesn't interfere and save Beowulf, right? Because that's not really how the Christian God works. At least in the story.
Blade says, believe in the Beowulf who believes in you.
That's basically what happens. It is literally like the end of an anime arc where he like believes in himself so hard he can kill a dragon. It is so good.
All right, we do have to wrap up. So let's final arguments.
Yeah, final things. Liam, what do you want to add on?
Better arsenal, better like literally the invincible skin. That's a huge thing, even if it's just the heel that's open. Better general feats, like essentially being a one-man army fighting off, like being able to win the Trojan War, being able to kill thousands of people in a single battle in the Battle of the Scamander. Having multiple sources of divine intervention, one of which is comparable to the Christian god, that's Zeus. And high-end argument, either scaling to the gods or being a god himself, I think would secure Achilles a safe win.
Okay. And of course, I mean, I feel like you guys know what my general argument is. Beowulf is he's just a fucking awesome dude, guys. Like, this is a dude that you want to hang out with. Like, Beowulf shows up at the party, wherever you're having a party, shows up at the club, shows up, at a bar or whatever. Everybody there's having a good time. Everybody's hanging out with Beowulf. It's like he's the best dude ever. And he's also strong enough to take care of dragons, swim across a sea that's 7 days across, kill invincible monsters like Beowulf or like Grendel and Grendel's mother. He just so happens to be that powerful. And then God's on his side. Do you really want to piss off God? I don't know. All right. I'm gonna start the poll. There is one other thing I do want to talk about, which is how Beowulf is such a cool guy and Achilles is a fucking asshole. So, and maybe this is important to anybody who's on the fence, because the ending of Iliad, if anybody's ever read this, as Liam mentioned, it doesn't end where like Achilles dies. It doesn't end with like the Trojan horse. None of that's in the Iliad. The Iliad is about two people, Achilles and Hector. Right? We are constantly going back and forth between these people. There's obviously other characters and whatnot. Achilles doesn't really get involved until like halfway through, but they're arguably the protagonists of the Iliad. Hector is the Prince of Troy, beloved family man. Everybody likes him. He's very much like a kind of Beowulf figure in a lot of ways. Like he's, hanging out with people, chill. He's chill. He's cool. And he's just kind of like stressed because all these Greek dudes showed up and are like sieging his city. And he's like, what the fuck do I do? So he's like the champion of Troy. And at one point he ends up killing Patroclus, as we mentioned. Achilles gets mad about this. Oh, Patroclus, that's my boyfriend. That's my guy. And you killed him. So I'm going to kill you. So he challenges Hector to a duel. Hector, like, as we mentioned, is going to run away. His family doesn't want him to do it. But then Athena shows up, disguised as his brother, and is like, hey, man, you should do this. And he's like, fine, okay. He's also like, there's like a sense of like honor as a theme throughout the story. And like, he's like, well, I am honor bound to like meet him, given what, like, he wants to avenge his, friend. I get it, right? Like, he gets it. And at the beginning of the duel, Hector and Achilles agree that the loser's body would be respected and given back to their respective people, right? Hector's body would go to his family. Hector basically knows that he's going to die, right? And he's like, well, hey, when I die, please give me back to my family. But Achilles fucking lies. When he kills Hector, a number of things happen. First, he kills him slowly by stabbing him in the throat, right? Hector's bleeding out as Achilles is calling him a dog and threatening to feed him to his dogs. And then he strips Hector's body. And then he has all his buddies come up. And I have a page here bookmarked.
We should do this kill in a death battle.
Because I want to read this. He stripped the bloodstained armor from Hector's shoulders, while the other Achaeans came running up to view his wondrous strength and beauty. And no one came near him, Hector, without giving him a fresh wound. Then one would turn to his neighbor and say, it is easier to handle Hector now than when he was flinging fire onto our ships. And as he spoke, he would thrust his spear into him anew. Basically, Hector's dead. Achilles is having all of his friends come up and just stab him with a spear, and as they're doing it, they're going, oh, it's way easier to do this now that he's not fighting back. Like, that's what's happening.
Achilles stuck And then Achilles stuck his wrists into Hector's mouth and shot his webs deep into Hector's body so hard
Well,
that
then-
Hector's head exploded.
Then
one of these days.
Achilles straps Hector's body to some horses and drags him around the walls of Troy, for 12 fucking days, so that all of his family can watch as Hector's body is just being brutally dragged around.
Don't kill my boyfriend.
There's
the lesson there.
The entire last 2 chapters of the Iliad is basically about how the gods are watching this and they go, ooh, ugh, this guy's taking this a little too far. We should probably come up with some crazy scheme to get Hector's body back to his family. And that's how the Iliad ends. So keep that in mind, chat.
Trojan horse.
There you go.
Achilles is a fucking dick. Beowulf would never do that. Beowulf would never do that. Beowulf is chill.
Yeah,
as
when
hell,
have the
man.
Vikings and the Saxons ever done any sort of raping and pillaging?
Beowulf never did that. As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Bleely says, don't kill my boyfriend cousin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Patroclus, I always thought Patroclus was like younger and more lithe than Achilles, but Patroclus is older than Achilles. He's like an older guy.
Oh, he is? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I just imagined he was like the Morty to Achilles' Rick, but it's the opposite.
Family Letter says Hector's body wasn't destroyed. There's a durability feat. The gods actually intervene. Like, there's a point when Achilles is about to sick his dogs on. I think he does it multiple times. He tries to get his dogs to eat Hector's body, and the gods are like, "Please no," and they keep the dogs away.
Please don't.
The gods are just like kind of like fed up with all of it. They're like, "This is gross, guys." Like, Achilles, you gotta stop, buddy. All right, we're gonna wrap up the poll here.
Wrap it up.
3, 2, 1.
Also, speaking of polls, I don't know if y'all saw earlier, but Nikki did do a super chat that she wanted to know everyone's opinion on her versus a fishbowl margarita and a table of Mexican food. I did a poll earlier. 60% believe that Nikki could defeat it, and 40% of people have clearly never partied with Nikki.
Yeah. She said that specifically because that's what we're gonna do in after we finish this.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
We're gonna get lunch. Well, we're not gonna get drunk. Well, maybe she is. I'm probably not me. Maybe.
Probably.
But
well, now that you have lost 62% to Beowulf,
Stupid.
maybe you should.
That's great. I'm
Congratulations.
Drunk like a Greek.
No, Beowulf would absolutely get drunk. He would get hammered after that victory.
He would get hammered.
You gotta party like a Beowulf, man.
You gotta party like a Beowulf.
Okay, so thank you all for joining us for another Death Metal Cast. Because of the technical difficulties, I don't think we actually have Champion Cast set up yet. So I'm gonna figure that out.
I think we might be skipping it.
It is up. Sam did get it up.
Well,
not skipping it. Too bad.
Never mind.
It might be really short. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is going to automatically feed over to it, so you might have to. I don't know. You might have to go find it. Normally, the stream ends and it kicks you over to Champion Cast. But if you don't get moved over automatically, you can find it on the Death Battle channel. If you are a member of the Death Battle channel, you will be able to join us there, and then we will talk about whatever there. And yes.
Yep.
Morning Goblin.
We know Shark Week is coming. We are prepared. It's happening. We might even.
We're prepared.
We might even be. It might even be a double Shark Week.
We have
2 weeks of sharks.
Yeah, some ideas. We can talk about that in Champion Cast. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us for another Death Battle Cast. We will see you all tomorrow, maybe, because tomorrow, special announcement. If you haven't heard this yet, because Sam is out, we are not going to be doing ballot banter as normal. So instead, and the normal ballot banter time, which is 1 p.m. Central.
Oh, that's right.
I am going to be streaming Bubsy 4D because I don't even fucking remember why I'm streaming it. You guys wanted me to for some reason, and I bought it because you guys wanted me to. I don't know. Oh, right, because we were doing a death battle with him, cast with him and Gex. So tomorrow is Bubsy Day, I guess. So tune in for that if you want. All right.
Enjoy. I might pop in.
we'll see you all in Champion Cast in a bit.
And
Thanks,
look at how we
everybody.
got so many new members today that can watch you play Bubsy. This is
my god, how do I end this stream? I don't remember how to end this stream. I'm just gonna end it. All right, bye everybody.
All right, bye.